Hey friends, it's Josie. Welcome back to Two Sisters Homestead. So today we are just going to be doing a couple of breakfast prep recipes because the kids are out of school for another week. So instead of having the basic stuff that we've been having this week, I decided to make a few different things that they can just grab and heat up or whatever they want to do with it. And then also Laci doesn't have to do anything in the mornings for them. So first we're going to start with the cinnamon roll recipe because it does take a little bit longer. So you want 1 cup of warm milk and you want to put that into your stand mixer along with 2.5 cups of yeast.
Mom.
2.5 teaspoons of yeast. And you're just going to let that sit just for a little bit. Whenever the yeast mixture starts to bubble up and it shows that it's active, then we want to start adding the rest of our ingredients. So to our stand mixer, we're going to add 1/2 cup of butter, 1/2 cup of sugar, and then 2 eggs. And then we're going to give this a good mix. So after you mix that well, you just want to add in a teaspoon of salt and 4 cups of your flour. I have my flour down here. You might need a little bit more depending on where you live and your humidity, but we're just going to start here and we're just going to mix it up right until it gets combined, and then we'll switch it to the dough hook. Okay, so we let it sit for a few minutes, so now we changed it to the dough hook, and now we are going to let it knead for about 5 to 6 minutes. So now after that's done, we're going to spray a bowl, and then we are going to put our dough in and let it sit for about an hour or 30 minutes. So now I'm just going to cover this, and while this sits for about 30 minutes, then I'm going to move on to what we're going to do next. Okay, you guys, so now we are going to start on our muffin recipe. I already preheated the oven to 400, and now we're just going to do our muffin mix. So this is from a Make Ahead muffin mix for the pantry that I have on. So I'm just going to pour all of that mix into my bowl, and then I'm going to start adding in my wet ingredients. Okay, so now what we want to do is add 1/3 cup of oil into our measuring cup. And then what we want to do is beat 1 egg into a bowl just lightly, and then we're going to add it into our oil mixture. And then we're going to fill up the cup to 1 cup of milk. And then I'm just going to give this a slight mix. And then we're going to add this into our dry ingredients. And then you just want to mix this all together. Okay, I'm going to spray these just a little bit just to make sure that the jelly don't stick, because I am going to put jelly in these. So I don't want them to stick onto the silicone thing. So I'm going to do half with our batter, and then I'm going to do some jam. And then some more batter. And then I'm going to go ahead and add my jam. This is one good way to use your jam, is put it in muffins. It's really, really good. And then I'm just going to add more batter on top. Yeah, it's very hot. Can you put it as a tablespoon? And now I'm just going to put this in the oven for about 15 minutes. So we just have a couple more minutes to wait for our cinnamon roll dough. So we're going to start with the filling. So you want 1/2 cup of softened butter. And then we want 2 tablespoons of cinnamon. And we want 1 cup of our brown sugar. And then we want to add in a 1/2 teaspoon of our vanilla. And also a 1/2 teaspoon of butter extract. And then we're going to mix this up. I like using a fork to mix it up just because it can help get those clumps out. So I just got this mat off of Amazon and it comes in handy. There's cinnamon toast sticks. Yeah. That's a triangle. Now we're just going to plop our mixture down, and you want to make sure not to get all the way to the edges because it will start seeping out if you do. And then I'm going to get this spatula and start letting it get all into the dough.
Hey.
Hey.
What? That's
I'm making cinnamon rolls.
oh.
Okay, so now I'm just going to cut around the edges on this so we can get it a little bit neater. and more uniform. And then we'll set that aside. On the table. Don't touch that. So now we have a pan to put them in, and I'm just going to spray this. And then I'm going to set this right here, and we're going to start rolling out our cinnamon rolls. I'm doing it this way this time because it's a little bit more easier instead of having to worry about getting that clean cut. And then we'll just roll them up like this. And then we'll put them into our pan.
Oh!
Yeah.
This.
Don't touch.
That.
Okay, good. And so I have them like this, and I left a little bit of room in between so that they have enough area to spread. And so now we're just going to cover this again and let it sit for another 30 minutes. And then I will bring you back whenever it's time. So now we have a half a cup of heavy cream. We're just going to pour all over. And then we're going to put these in the oven. Okay, so our cinnamon rolls are done, and here is where I poked it to test it to make sure that they were done. And so now we're going to let these cool, and then we will add our frosting. About to leave to go to my mom's house to do our Christmas there. I'm going to leave these here to cool just like that, and then when I come back, I will make the frosting. But you can just make any type of frosting that you like. I usually just do a cream cheese based frosting with powdered sugar, things like that. So it's really easy. If you add maple extract to your frosting, it makes it really good and gives it that a nice, hint of maple, and it just changes the whole taste of it. So it's really good. So you can try that. And then when I get back, we're going to make a quiche for breakfasts as well, because we need to use up some eggs. And I will take you through that process as well. And here's the muffins when they get all done. Okay, friends, so now we are about to start making a quiche. I just recently got back. I put my pajamas back on because why not? And now we're going to start this quiche. So you can make your pie crust homemade. However, this is what I already had one of these in the fridge, so I'm gonna go ahead and use this. And I'm just going to put it in my pie dish. And then I'm going to have some sausage and cheese in it. I have the sausage cooking up over there on the stove right now. And then I have my oven set to, if I can get this out, I have my oven set to 375. And then I'm going to put this pie crust in there. For 10 minutes, just to cook it just a little bit, and then we will start adding in the rest of our ingredients to it. Okay, so now we are going to move on to our egg mixture. So we want 4 eggs. My head itches. These eggs need to be used up, so this is a good recipe to do that in. And then also, I'm putting them in this other bowl to make sure that they're not bad, just, because these are like on the last days. Okay, so now what we're going to do is do a cup of half and half. I don't have half and half, so what I'm going to do is do half cream and half milk. And then we're going to pour that into our bowl with our eggs. So our oven just preheated, so we're going to put this in for about 10 minutes. In our egg mixture, we're going to add a half teaspoon of salt and a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. And then we're just going to give this a mix. With this, you can use whatever you want in it. This is just like a base where you could add ham and cheese if you want. You can add bacon, spinach, whatever you want. But today we're just doing cheese and sausage. So we got our pie crust out, and now we're going to add some of this sausage. I'm not going to add all of this. This is a pound. I'm just going to add some just to cover the bottom. And then, of course, when we add our egg mixture, it will fill out. And then I'm also going to add some cheese to this. You could use whatever kind of cheese that you would like, but this is what I have on hand is mild cheddar, so that's what we're going to use. And I'm going to do about a cup of cheese, and then we're going to pour in our egg mixture. My crust, I didn't have it up high enough, but that's okay. It'll all eat the same when it's time. So now I'm going to pop this back into the oven for 35 to 40 minutes, and then we will take it out, and I cannot wait. Okay, so next, while that's in the oven, we're going to go ahead and make some bread. So we're going to do our regular sandwich bread just in case anybody wants just regular old toast in the morning. They can have that. I'm not going to do that on camera just because I've done bread recipes with y'all a lot of times. The bread recipe that I'm going to be using is from Roots and Refuge Farm, and I will link that down in the description below. And then I'm also going to make a cinnamon raisin bread. Of course, I have never made this before, which I'm really excited to try it. And I will link this one down below as well. I just got it off of Pinterest. So first what you want to do is add your raisins into some boiling water. So right now I have my water in my kettle. I'm having that to come to a boil, and then I will just pour that water over my raisins. So for this recipe we need 7 ounces of raisins. So I just got some raisins from the grocery store. These are just the Sun made raisins, and so I'm going to add 1.5 cups into this bowl. You want it to be something that you can get really hot because we will be pouring hot water in with them. Okay. Our water is already boiling, so we just want to do it to be enough to cover half. And we're just going to let these hang out here for about 10 to 15 minutes while we're preparing our other ingredients. So you'll know when your raisins are done when they start becoming a little bit lighter in color and the water level goes down a little bit. But in the meantime, we want to heat up our milk. So this is 1 1/4 cups of milk. You can heat this up on the stove right until it just starts steaming, but you do not want it to boil. Or you can do it in the microwave. I have a few things on my stove, so I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to put it in the microwave and let it do its thing in there, and then we will take it out. So our milk is steaming, so now what we want to do is pour our milk into our stand mixer bowl, and then add 5 tablespoons of butter. And we are going to put this into the hot milk and just whisk it until the butter melts. The hot milk will help melt the butter, so you don't have to worry about melting the butter in the microwave or anything. So we're going to let this butter melt, and then I will bring you back to add some sugar, cinnamon, and things like that. Once that gets done melting, we want to add in a teaspoon of our salt. Then we're going to do 3 tablespoons of sugar. And then we're going to do 1 teaspoon of our cinnamon. And we're just going to whisk this up again. We are going to attach our dough hook, and then we want to add in all of our flour on top of this wet mixture, and then we're going to add our yeast and let it sit just for a few minutes, and then we will start mixing it with our dough hook. So for this recipe, we need 3.5 cups of our flour. Let me make sure it's not bread flour. Yes, it's bread flour. So you are wanting bread flour for this, so let me go get it. Okay, so we are going to get in our 3.5 cups of bread flour. And then we need 1.5 teaspoons of yeast. I did get another thing of yeast today, so I could make this because we were running out. So now we are just going to let this mix for about a minute just to get it combined. So once all of the flour is absorbed, then that's when you want to crank it up to about medium speed and knead it for about 2 minutes. So while that is mixing, what you want to do is get your raisins and put them onto a paper towel or tea towel, and then we're just going to lay them out and pat them dry while we're waiting on our dough. I don't know if you can tell, but they are quite lighter. So we are just going to put them onto our paper towel. You spread them out so they can try to be at one layer if possible. And then I'm going to put another one on just to pat it dry. And then I'm going to leave these covered up until my dough gets done. So now you just add in your raisins, and we're just going to mix it just a little bit to try to get some of them incorporated. They all won't be incorporated, but once we get done with this part, we're just going to dump it out onto our counter and work in the rest of the raisins. So now we are going to dump this out onto our mat that we have here. along with any raisins that were left behind. And what we're going to do is start kneading this in. So you just want to flatten it out and fold, and then make sure you flatten it out again so that we can make sure that those raisins are nice and incorporated. Yeah. Okay, and once we do that, we want to start trying to build a little bit of tension, just like we would do like a sourdough bread, and just pull it against the counter to help round it out. If the raisins fall out, that is okay. So now we're going to put this back into our mixer. We're going to spray it. And then cover it and let it chill for about 2.5 hours. And then I will bring you back for the next steps. So our quiche is done. And now we're just waiting for our bread. Again, it probably won't be till around 6:30 till that's done. And it's only 4:36 right now, so we are going to wait until that gets done, and then I will bring you along for that process, and then we will be done in the kitchen for today, you guys. So our dough has risen, and now it's time to start making the mixture for the swirl inside. So we need 2 tablespoons of bread flour, and 2 tablespoons of sugar, and 4 teaspoons of cinnamon, this was a 1/2 measuring spoon. And now I'm just going to get a fork and mix it together. Oh, we need a pinch of salt too. And then we're going to mix this.
It's too small for your hand. Your hand's too big now.
And we're just going to set this to the side. So we're going to punch this down just to get all the gases out of it. And it will deflate, and then we're going to take it out onto our parchment paper that I have laid down. And then what we want to start doing, okay, so what you want to do is roll this out.
Hey, shut that up, man. I don't like when you do that. Okay? Because I'm working on it for you. You're spoiled, baby. You don't even know how to.
Okay, so now what we're going to do is get some milk and just brush it all over our dough. This helps for the swirl mixture to stick better. And then we're going to sprinkle this. And then we're just going to pat it down a little bit. And then we're going to start at the shorter side and just start rolling it in. And then you want to try to squeeze the ends. And then you want to squeeze the seam. So now we're going to put it into this greased pan. And then we're going to let it rise just for another hour, and then we'll put it in the oven. Okay friends, so I wasn't able to get the bread cut open because it took a little bit more time than what I thought. But I just cut it open before I'm going to work, and I'm going to show you what it looks like inside. So this is how it looks.